And so, welcome. Here we are again, right?
Right.
I think so.
Another evening to, I don't know, I always leave here feeling good. I hope you do too.
I do too.
And that's kind of I mean, a lot of other things can happen, but that's the memorable payoff about our discussions with A Course in Miracles is that they all have a happy ending.
Yeah, how about that?
Have you
Yeah.
ever noticed that? Anyhow, this is the Unity of Livonia, A Course in Miracles study group, and it is Tuesday, November 19th. And so any things before we get started? Because I'm raring to go as usual. Anything you want to say or anything, anybody?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just checking. Hopefully you have the agenda, and we're starting out in the manual for teachers tonight. And just to offer some perspective, we've got about, hold on, let's get Jan in here and we'll continue. Hey, Jan, are you there? Hi, Janet.
Hello, hi, thank you.
Hi, it's good to have you here as usual. And guess what, Jan? I saw your face just before you went incognito.
Jan,
Thank you.
All right. Anyhow, in all seriousness, Jan, thank you for being here. We were just getting started, and we are in the manual for teachers, actually on page 64. So catch up with us there. But I was just about to, in terms of perspective, to just see we're almost at the end of the body of the manual for teachers. And up until tonight, we've covered Jesus's discussions on 25 questions, right?
yep.
Tonight we're on 26, and then tonight we're also on 27, and then after that there are two more, but of the two, only one of them is a question. Like number 29 on page 70 is not so much a question as kind of a epilogue or a summary ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the manual for teachers. Now that's the body of the manual for teachers, but then Jesus adds a supplement to it called the clarification of terms. And that begins on page 77. So there's several of those, I think about 6 or so, and we will be completely done with A Course in Miracles, because we'll be finishing the workbook the same time, right? And so all of that will occur by early January. And in January, will start the supplements, psychotherapy and song of prayer, and that'll probably take us till June. You getting tired of A Course in Miracles?
Not at all.
I'm
Mm.
just trying to show you we're
No.
okay, and after that we'll start over. And that's how my life goes, right?
You're right.
That's right.
And I would venture to say yours too, the way it seems to be going. And anyhow, I just felt led to kind of show everybody where we are and offer some perspective. But in terms of where we are tonight, let's get our reading list and get into it. Gina, would you be number 1? And then Frank, and then Sherilyn. I'm skipping you, Hilda, right?
Silly, thank you.
All right. How about you, Nancy? What do you think?
I'll have to pass tonight.
Okay. All right. So Hilda was 3. Ron is 4. Oops. No. I'm so sorry. Sherilyn was 3. Joan is 4. I'm losing it here, folks. Sorry. Ron is 5. And let's just leave it at that because I already talked too much. Gina 1, Frank 2, Sherilyn 3, Joan 4, Ron 5. Did I get that correct?
Sounds good.
All right. We are on page 64, question number 26. Gina?
Can God be reached directly? Number 1, God indeed can be reached directly, for there is no distance between him and his Son. His awareness is in everyone's memory, and in his word is written on everyone's heart. Yet this awareness and this memory can rise across the threshold of recognition only where all barriers to truth have been removed. In how many is this the case? Here then is the role of God's teachers. They too have not attained the necessary understanding as yet, but they have joined with others. This is what sets them apart from the world, and it is this that enables others to leave the world with them. Alone they are nothing, but in their joining is the power of God.
Thank you. Frank?
There are those who reach God directly, retaining no trace of worldly limits and remembering that their own listening perfectly. Those might be called the teachers of teachers, because although they are no longer visible, their image can yet be called upon, and they will appear when and where it is helpful for them to do so. To those to whom such appearances would be frightening, they give ideas. They give their ideas. No one can call on them in vain. No, nor is there anyone of whom they are unaware. All needs are known to them, and all mistakes are recognized and overlooked by them. The time will come when this is understood. And meanwhile, they give all their gifts to the teachers of God, who look up to them for help, asking all things in their name and in no others.
Thanks, Frank. These 2 paragraphs are quite long and to me discuss some kind of different things. So let's kind of approach them one at a time. Before I do that, Gina, I need some help from you.
Okay.
Kathy Neff is trying to get into our Zoom meeting tonight.
Okay.
I thought she was on our list,
Okay.
but
Um,
at any rate, can you connect with her and maybe send her the link to
Yep.
the? All right, I'd appreciate it. Okay. And can you put in the chat that you're sending her a link to Judy, to Kathy Neff?
I will text her. Since she's not here, she won't see it in the chat.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Yep.
Now, back to paragraph 1. Did you know this already, that God can be reached directly?
Yes,
Uh, you mean you don't have to go through a guru or something like that?
no,
Thanks, Frank. The rest of you, I mean, are you surprised at this relatively simple statement, given all the complicated things we've heard about being able to reach God? How many have said it was a quest, and that one day, if you do all the right things, you'll come in the presence of this king sitting on the front a throne with a beard and stuff? So does this seem rather shocking and maybe humble?
Yes.
Not elaborate at all to start out? Is
Yeah.
this already the way you were thinking about? Does it sound easy so far?
yes,
Yes.
All right. Is this what you were taught in your traditional church?
No.
No.
That's why I'm messing with you, right? I wasn't either. So once I got over the shock of it, I was interested in the process. So, what is it that you have to do in order to reach God, according to this paragraph?
You need to go within.
And where does he say go within?
I don't know, but I think that's what it refers to.
Well, and you are certainly correct, but just to keep it simple, what does it say verbatim that you have to do? It's implied in sentence 3.
His awareness is in everyone's memory and his word is written on everyone's heart.
Did you read sentence 3 of
That's sentence
paragraph
2. That's sentence 2. Sentence 3 is, yet this awareness and this memory can arise across the threshold of recognition only where all barriers to truth have been removed.
So, what do you have to do to reach God directly?
remove all barriers to truth.
All right. Have you heard this before?
Likely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know how to keep your place, right?
Mhm.
And so if we go back to page 1, it's really the introduction to the text. It's famous, right? It says on the introduction to the text, the course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught, It does aim, however, at doing what?
Undoing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence.
All right. Now, synonym, God and loved, is that a pretty good synonym for us?
Yes.
Yes.
So it aims at removing the blocks to the awareness of God's presence. Does that sound consistent with what he said on the very first introduction?
Yes.
So do you see in a significant way, this is the key to reaching God? Helpful?
Yes.
So it's not a matter of creating, it's a matter of removing. Or am I making too big a deal out of one paragraph?
Removing what?
This is not about doing. This to reach God directly is not to do. What is it?
E.
Wait a minute. Okay. To reach God directly, you don't have to do, you have to undo. Are you following me now?
Yes.
Do you see how at odds that it is with everything we've been taught?
Definitely.
We always thought to live, you have to do something. How about you? Is that what was taught or implied in your upbringing?
Wasn't mine.
Thank
Mhm.
you. What about the rest of you? This is not a hard question. I was thought to live life, I had to do something. What this says is if I want to be with God, I have to go the opposite way. I have to undo. I have to remove the blocks to the awareness of what is always there. What are some of the benefits of reaching God this way?
Peace of
It's
mind.
simpler. Go ahead, Joan.
Just peace of mind.
Why?
Because there's that feeling of oneness.
All right. I got that. I love you. But let's get more like in a practical, let's unpack it for daily life, because that, as you said, Joan, is the peace of mind that you were describing. But what does that look like on a daily basis? It means I have to remove the blocks. How it's not like I'm removing something solid. Well, here, let me just say it this way. is it easier to do or not do? I know you're
To not do.
lazy, but just basically, which one's easier, doing or not doing?
Doing.
Not doing.
Okay. Not doing. I mean, at least at a fundamental level, with no judgment, it's easier, isn't it?
Mhm.
So if I don't do it, the other part of this he's saying is I'll tap into a power that will do it for me because I'm not putting up blocks to its working on my behalf. So as usual, I'm taking too long on the first paragraph.
It's okay.
Means we're gonna have a good session, I hope.
Right.
And I only go into all of this because when you read those words, it says God indeed can be reached directly, for there is no distance between him and his son. All we have to do is to remove the blocks that we ourselves, right,
Right.
Yes.
have put up against it. And so I just wanted to show you it's not the way that we've been taught to get things done, but therein, the benefit is you can relax. It's easier to undo than it is to do, because if I relax, it'll be done for me. So does that sound like a beneficial way to live?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. Paragraph 2. It says those who have reached God directly, retaining no trace of worldly limits, are called the teachers of teachers, because although they are no longer visible, their image can yet be called upon. Any thoughts about who those teachers might be?
Could that be someone like Paramhansa Yogananda?
Okay. So they are beyond the worldly limits, but they've left a lasting residual in the world nonetheless. They have penetrated our thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the job they came to do. And is it your job too?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why is penetrating thinking important? Because it's the way to make a better world. Isn't that what everyone says they want?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're all doing our part. We're all coming into the world, the stage that Shakespeare talks about. All the world is a stage, and we're playing a part. But what's the play about? What's the point of the play?
Point is to find out who we really are.
And Thank you, Joan. Now, is that like answering your prayer? Is that kind of our universal prayer? Who are we? So
Yes.
what's being said here is that if it weren't for your resistance, this whole thing would have been taken care of in an instant to know who you are. But through this tiny mad idea of separation, you were allowed to indulge that and splinter it all up and making what always was covered over through your blocks. So as we learn that we're one, we're reestablishing what was never lost. Anything else you have in two? Let's go to three.
Okay.
I'll do
Sometimes,
Go ahead.
sometimes a teacher of God may have a brief experience of direct union with God. In this world, it is almost impossible that this endure. It can perhaps be won after much devotion and dedication, and then be maintained for much of the time on earth. But this is so rare that it cannot be considered a realistic goal. If it happens, so be it. If it does not happen, so be it as well. All worldly states must be illusory. If God were reached directly in sustained awareness, the body would not be long maintained. Those who have laid the body down merely to extend their helpfulness to those remaining behind are few indeed, and they need helpers who are still in bondage and still asleep, so that by their awakening can God's voice be heard.
Is this getting deep enough for you?
Yes.
All right. Let's go back a little bit. Actually, though, Sherilyn just read. Joan, would you just finish this and we'll talk about 3 and 4 together?
Okay. Do not despair then because of limitations. It is your function to escape from them, but not to be without them. If you would be heard by those who suffer, you must speak their language. If you would be a savior, you must understand what needs to be escaped. Salvation is not theoretical. Behold the problem, ask for the answer, and then accept it when it comes. Nor will its coming be long delayed. All the help you can accept will be provided, and not one need you have will not be, and not one need you have will not be met. Let us not then be too concerned with goals for which you are not ready. God takes you where you are and welcomes you. What more could you desire when this is all you need?
So thank you very much, Joan. And now I think we can kind of proceed and talk about paragraph 3 and then 4 and close this section out. In paragraph 3, Jesus starts to talk about some teachers of God as opposed to others. Do you follow that in paragraph 3?
Yes.
And it seems that there are some teachers of God who have brief experience of direct union with God, but briefly, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And yet only briefly. But this can be so rare, it cannot be considered a realistic goal. If it happens, that's fine. If it doesn't happen, that's fine too. Am I saying it with the right emphasis,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
You do.
All right. It says all worldly states must be illusory. What about Jesus? Was Jesus illusory?
I never thought of it that way, but
I know, that's why I brought it up.
if we're all illusions, and Jesus in this life would have been an illusion also.
That is correct. Okay, and that's the point. So are you in this world?
Yes.
Yes.
Then if that's true, are you real? All right.
Yes, it seems so.
Okay. And so is there any difference than an illusion in between an illusion and an actor acting out a part on stage?
No, I don't think it would be any different.
All right. And so is your role as an actor what you really are?
It seems
Apparently.
no.
Okay. Does that take some pressure off you to know you're playing a role?
No.
Why?
The way I've always done it.
Well, I'm just saying, because all the stuff that happens on stage is just part of the play. That's not your real life, is it?
To me, it is.
And we can appreciate how you feel about it, but he's saying that is not correct. If Jesus was an illusion, Frank, what are you?
An illusion.
Okay, I'm just following along, connecting the dots. Are
Right.
you?
Yes.
All right. Now, the bright side of that, my friend, is you don't have to get so captivated by what's happening in the play, do you?
Right.
Okay. The tragic life of your part in the play is not as tragic as you may think when you recognize it's only your character in a play. How am I doing, everybody?
Good.
But
Okay, does it make you feel like more at peace, more at rest to know that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then that's what we're here about, is joy and fun and happiness. Hi, Sue. Thank you for being here, dear. We are, Sue, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. We are in the Manual for Teachers. We are on page 64, and we're discussing paragraph 3.
Okay.
And I was saying, paragraph 3, Jesus talks about different types of experiences that teachers of God have. And he said that Some may even have brief experiences of direct union with God, but most often they've got to be temporary because a sustained awareness of the body, I'm reading in sentence 6, if God were reached directly in sustained awareness, the body would not be long maintained. So, those who have laid the body down merely to extend their helpfulness to those remaining behind are few. Um, Jesus, it didn't seem that he was doing that, but in his mind, he knew he was doing that. Perhaps a more direct and contemporary example I can give is Paramahansa Yogananda. You know, he wasn't sick when he died. He just decided it was time to go. So that's who I think of there. But the majority of teachers of God, we're getting into paragraph 4, are kind of a more of a worker bee in the trenches teacher of God. In paragraph 4, Jesus says, "It is your do not despair because of worldly limitations. It is to escape from them, but not to be without them." Why is it important that you not be without limitations? Which is how the majority of teachers of God are employed. Why must you have limitations? What's the advantage of that? He talks about it in paragraph 4.
Well, in sentence 4, it says, if you would be a savior, you must understand what needs to be escaped.
All
So
right.
you have compassion and kindness towards people with their various difficulties.
Okay. You know what they're going through. You feel it yourself.
Mm.
Jesus was an example of that also. So it's hard to be a savior from a ivory tower. You have to get in the trenches and have the empathy in order to lead people to something better. You have to be their equal, not above them. In order to have credibility with them, you must come from their own ranks, or they won't feel as open and allow you to communicate with them. How am I doing here?
Okay.
Good.
Okay. So it is your own pain that you take into your healing situations. And so you do it with a sincerity and a humbleness that really genuinely connects. You see what I mean? So that's what I believe that Jesus is saying there. So to me, to sum things up here, unless anything else you want to say, or comment on, or something that got your attention.
I have friends who feel when they pray they need to get on their knees.
Say that again.
I have friends in AA especially who feel to pray you have to get on your knees to humble yourself.
And how do you feel about that?
That's fine with me, but I don't feel I can pray anywhere. I don't, isn't the position or where, it doesn't matter. I can pray at any time, any place.
Yeah, yeah. You know, your comment is very well taken to me, Frank, because you remember, well, if I'm a Bible student, so one of the tales is that there were some people back in Jesus's day that saved an animal for a trap from a trap or something. It was on the Sabbath, and the Pharisees admonished them because they were doing work on Sundays. And Jesus took exception to that and said something like, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. I agree. It shouldn't matter. You can pray from any position. Is that your point, Frank?
Yes.
What do the rest of you think? Would you agree?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
is there a certain ritual or requirement or,
Do this.
you know, and so you see how so much of the dogma from our traditional religions didn't really need to be there. As a matter of fact, it was actually a limitation on the ability to be free to do these things. Excellent point, sir. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? What can God be reached directly? Here's kind of my summary. Yes, it happens in different ways for different people. Do you get the feeling he closes by telling you why? Here, let me just say it. Sentence 7, paragraph 4. No, it's really sentence 8. All the help you can accept will be provided, and not one need you have will not be met. Regardless of whether you play the role of a teacher of teachers or somebody with brief direct experiences or somebody with even fewer direct experiences, you're all doing your individual parts in the plan. The plan requires all kinds of teachers, but what they're going to be teaching is the same thing in different ways to people that believe they're different. So they're going to have their own particular role. Don't worry about what role you're going to play. It will be the right one, and you'll have what you need when you need it. And we're going to finish here. We've got another, but I'm sorry. In the Bible, how many of you remember when the Jewish people were freed from slavery and wandered in the wilderness for 40 years? And things got really bad. They didn't have any food to eat or water to drink. And Moses kept going to God, trying to get God to help. Any of you remember, for example, he made water come out of the rocks?
Right.
All right. And there are other phenomena. And one of the other phenomena for food was this food called manna.
Manna.
Yes.
Do you remember anything peculiar about manna?
Manna from heaven.
Yeah, and it was heaven sent, but it had a peculiarity about it. Anybody remember what that peculiarity was about manna from heaven?
It was only intended for the day,
And
and
what
it was not to be stored.
and what happened if you stored it up, Hilda, or tried to?
You were in trouble.
Why were you in
It would just
trouble?
be rotten, and you wouldn't be able to use it.
Okay. It would not be stored. You had to take it for today and trust you would get it again tomorrow.
Right.
They made it to the promised land, didn't they? Must have worked, right?
Right.
Worthy of trust, then, right?
Mhm.
Do you see the trust involved from teachers of God?
Yes.
You'll have what you need when you need it. I have to be careful about giving you guys more than you need because you're not ready for it. You'll squander it. You'll take 2 steps back instead of 1 step forward.
And
I
you
have to
don't
kind of
have to
keep
be.
it simple. Go ahead, Hilda.
It is what saying you don't have to be accomplish a certain and be all concerned about that, because God will
Okay.
meet you wherever you are and accept you.
Okay. Consider the lilies of the field, or the birds of the air, or the worm-seeking birds. You don't see them protesting for more worms, do you?
Nope.
They just go about each day trusting they'll find the worm. And let me ask you this. Are they carefree?
Yes.
Because they trust, right?
Right.
What's the first characteristic of a teacher of God?
Trust.
Trust.
You see, I'm connecting the dots here in a way that hopefully helps you to see this makes sense, right?
Yes.
It's not pie in the sky. I hope it works. There's evidence that it works, historical evidence, contemporary evidence. It's all around you that certain principles work. And the first among these for people like us, teachers of God, is we just simply trust. Sue?
Well, I guess I'm playing devil's advocate. Do I trust? Yeah, I trust to a degree, I will say.
Well, is that trust?
That's what you call to a degree,
It's a trust substitute,
a trust substitute.
conveniently provided by the ego.
However, I am right now working to bring a program to Michigan with our temple. And it's a company called Elan from Israel who's working with the children who have been involved with the bombings. There's bombings every single day now on 4 sides in Israel.
Yes, ma'am.
And kids are losing families, their homes are destroyed. Everybody came together to open up their houses at the other end, etc. But there are kids they can no longer find. And the kids and the teenagers come out at night and sell themselves to get food. And these kids came from families where they were very happy. They have never had anything like this in Israel, ever in their lifetimes. This wasn't the Holocaust. And now they don't trust anybody. They don't trust anybody who looks like an adult. They don't know what to do. There's bombs, they need shelters, and these kids need therapy. And most of us were professionals who came to this program. And all the professionals that were there said, well, why can't you bring them to your clinic? Because they're thinking in terms of the United States. And they said, it's not like that. We, with our PhDs, are going out at night to walk the streets to find kids totally alone.
Where do you guys get that kind of strength?
Well, Israel's a very strong people. There's no question.
I'm talking about the people that are walking and patrolling at night, right?
Yes. And
Where
they're
do they get that strength and courage?
because they believe so strongly in Israel. There is a love there that is amazing. And they all work together. And they know that these kids are totally traumatized. And they're from 6 years old. There's 2-3 kids together with some 4-year-olds. They can't find their families, and their families can't find them. They got split apart. But the whole country is hunting up these kids.
I'm just saying.
So all I'm saying is that when you say trust, yes, I know it's much better for me to be able to think without fear in my head, because then I think more logically from just a common sense standpoint.
What about the other folks that are there actually in it and walking the streets?
There's no common sense anymore. There's fear. They operate totally out of fear.
Well, here's where we're
26.
not communicating. Maybe.
Oh, what are you? Well, what are you trying to say?
I'm first of all saying that I'm not disagreeing with you when I talk about the subject of trust. As a matter of fact, I'm asking the people that have the courage to do what they can to help is based on trusting that if they do what they can, maybe everything will work out better.
Well, that's true. If they walk the streets, they'll find some of these kids and be able to work with them. They'll never forget, but they'll learn how to work with it.
And their trust in what's right gives them the courage to do their part.
I agree.
So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm trying to show you that at another level, that is an example of what makes people against all these odds.
That's true.
Still get out and do what they can do to help.
That's true. And I have friends who were in the Holocaust, in the underground, and they fall into the same category.
Yeah.
They're here and they're okay. And some of them went back to Israel to help out.
Yeah.
You know, And a lot of people offered who were at this program when I went to the original one. But the commitment is 1 year. They said you can't come 2 weeks and go home because these kids, first of all, don't trust anybody. Now you're working with them and then you're going home.
Yeah.
So it's taking therapy to an absolute new level that all of us in the room couldn't possibly imagine.
It's a pretty crazy world, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Oh, I fully agree.
Thanks for your
Fully agree. It isn't funny, but a sense of humor is a great gift.
yeah, sometimes it's the only thing we have left is a sense of humor to help us keep our heads on straight about all of this insanity. Other comments on can God be reached directly? We ended up talking about you'll have what you need when you need it.
Mhm.
There's another statement in the course where Jesus says, speaking of the Holy Spirit, would he who gave you the goal not also give you the means to accomplish the goal? And then you end up going, well, I trust that he will, because if he said I can do it, I can do it. And right? Trust. Yeah, it operates at a lot of levels. Anything else? I want to go on then to the next question. That's kind of a biggie I thought we wanted to get into tonight. Okay. We are up to Ron. Is it your turn?
Yes, it is.
On last, right? All right. We're on page 66.
Mhm.
What is death? Death is the central dream from which all illusions stem. Is it not madness to think of life as being born, aging, losing vitality, and dying in the end? We have asked this question before, but now we need to consider it more carefully. It is the one fixed, unchangeable belief of the world that all things in it are born only to die. This is regarded as the way of nature, not to be raised to question, but to be accepted as the natural law of life. The cyclical, the changing and unsure, the undependable, and the unsteady, waxing and waning in a certain way upon a certain path. All this is taken as the will of God, and no one asks if a benign creator could will this.
Thanks, Ron. And we're back to Gina, paragraph 2.
Right? In this perception of the universe as God created it, it would be impossible to think of him as loving. For who has decreed that all things pass away, ending in dust and disappointment and despair can but be feared? He holds your little life in his hand, but by a thread, ready to break it off without regret or care, perhaps today. Or if he waits, yet is the ending certain. For who loves such a God knows not of love, because he has denied that life is real. Death has become life's symbol. His world is now a battleground where contradiction reigns and opposites make endless war. Where there is death, is peace impossible.
Have you ever thought about this before, what he's saying here? It's ever crossed your mind that this whole thing is stupid and cruel?
I wondered what is it all about?
Especially when there's such a contradiction between the creator and what it created. I mean, who in their right mind would create such a fearful, stupid thing like this that makes no sense? A place where there's no stability, there's no certainty, you can't count on anything. And even when you go through all the crap, it's over. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Well, when's the last time you asked somebody about that? Had a question about that? Or did you just say, that's the way of the world?
I asked myself.
Have you ever noticed that in this world, everything, in order to live, something has to die? Whether it's an animal or a plant, for you to live, you have to do stupid stuff like eat other stuff. Or is that, am I offending anyone by saying that doesn't make sense? You mean life lives from death? My life depends on the death of other animals or plants? Who thought of that? Oh, it's God, and God loves you. Is that what you were taught?
Yes.
So these are, to me, very valid discussions. It's like stuff I never even considered before. So I guess I could say my eyes were closed, and now they're starting to open. And oh my goodness, it wasn't extraordinary. I've been thinking that the whole time. And then in a way, you just gotta laugh, right, Sue? Yeah, you fooled yourself. Okay, this can't be a loving God, can it?
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can be a loving God, because I don't attribute this to God. I attribute it to man. We got choice, so we made decisions and we screwed it up.
So at least now you're being honest.
But I always felt we screwed it
Okay,
up.
but my church said it's the will of God. It's how God operates. Okay. Okay. He loves you when you do quote unquote right.
Wonderful.
But if you do something he don't like, he's God of retribution and revenge and bad karma. That's what I used to hear. All right. And so the course is refreshingly letting me know that this isn't what God is. How are we? Paragraph 2, let me just ask, or paragraph 1 or 2, What are your thoughts there? Any other things? Death has become life's symbol. It's all a bunch of conflict, confusion, and chaos, isn't it?
Mhm.
Nothing makes sense. War doesn't make sense. The treatment of certain people,
It makes sense.
everybody's equal, but those are just words, right? So I'll move on. Is that okay?
Okay.
Our next reader after Gina is Frank. Wait, Frank, did you read? We read 1 and 2, right?
Yep,
So Gina and Frank, you read, right?
Gina did 2.
Oh, Gina did 2. There we go. I'm confused. Who's next?
Me,
Thank you. And is it paragraph 3?
yes.
Yes, it would be.
All right.
Death is a symbol of the fear of God. His love is blotted out to the idea, which holds it from awareness, like a shield hold up to obscure the sun. The grimness of the symbol is thought to show it cannot coexist with God. It holds an image of the Son of God, in which he is laid to rest in devotion, in devastation's arms, where worms wait to greet him and to lead a last birth while by his destruction. Yet the world as well is doomed to be destroyed in certainty, and we do all things alive because of death, devouring in nature's law of life. God is insane, and fear alone is real.
Right?
God is insane, and
Isn't that what? It doesn't make sense, right?
fear is insane, and fear alone is real.
So that puts us up to Miss White.
The curious belief that there is part of dying things that may go on apart from what will die does not proclaim a loving God nor reestablish any grounds for trust. If death is real for anything, there is no life. Death denies life, but if there is reality in life, death is denied. No compromise in this is possible. There is either a God of fear or one of love. The world attempts 1,000 compromises and will attempt 1,000 more. Not one can be acceptable to God's teachers because not one could be acceptable to God. He did not make death because he did not make fear. Both are equally meaningless to him.
Thank you, Sherilyn. So that brings us up to Joni, right?
The reality of death is firmly rooted in the belief that God's Son is a body. And if God created bodies, death would indeed be real, but God would not be loving. There is no point at which the contrast between the perception of the real world and that of the world of illusions becomes more sharply evident. Death is indeed the death of God if he is love. And now his own creation must stand in fear of him. He is not father, but destroyer. He's not creator, but avenger. Terrible his thoughts and fearful his image. To look on his creations is to die. Oh my.
Yeah. I mean, it's the picture. Are y'all following? Do you want to stop and discuss? Is it running smoothly what Jesus is saying here? We're making a mockery of God. That is not God. That's what we made of God. Instead of us being made in God's image, which is true, we've had the arrogance to make God in our image with the frailties of our illusory humanity. That's the audacity of the idea we've taught of what God is. We teach that God is like us instead of the truth that we are like God. We doing okay with that?
Yes,
Mhm.
All right. Our next reader, are we up to Ron?
Yes, we are.
Good.
Number 6. And the last to be overcome will be death. Of course, without the idea of death, there is no world. All dreams will end with this one. This is salvation's final goal, the end of all illusions. And in death are all illusions born. What can be born of death and still have life? But what is born of God and still can die? The inconsistencies, the compromises, and the rituals the world fosters in its vain attempts to cling to death and yet to think love real are mindless magic, ineffectual, and meaningless. God is, and in him all created things must be eternal. Do you not see that? Otherwise, he has an opposite, and fear would be as real as love.
Let's finish. Sue, do you want to read?
7,
Yes, please.
teacher of God. Your one assignment could be stated thus: accept no compromise in which death plays a part. Do not believe in cruelty, nor let attack conceal the truth from you. What seems to die has but been misperceived and carried to illusion. Now it becomes your task to let the illusion be carried to the truth. Be steadfast, but in this, be not deceived by the reality of any changing form. Truth neither moves nor wavers, nor sinks down to death and disillusion. And what is the end of death? Nothing but this: the realization that the Son of God is guiltless now and forever. Nothing but this. But do not let yourself forget, it is not less than this.
Thanks, Sue.
Welcome.
I don't know. Certainly open up to other comments, but let me engage with you, Sue, for just a moment. And I want to do it to see if I can offer a little more comfort and ease to you in the difficult times you're involved in. Yes?
yes,
If this is true, no harm is coming to all of these people. Your comment.
My comment on it?
If this is true, and it's always true, because only the truth can be true, no harm is coming to all the people that you're involved with.
How do I feel about that?
Yeah,
What you're saying?
yes, ma'am.
The only way I can answer that is I believe strongly in forgiveness. And in forgiveness, I find I can appreciate God and feel that I'm being led to something very special. And that specialness will help other people too. I really believe that. And I can use an example when Al was very sick, and it was all due to negligence. He said to me, Susie, we need to forgive, or we will ruin the rest of our lives, our life together. And we did. We practiced forgiveness.
Are you able to do that in the current situations in which you're involved, specifically with what the Jewish people are dealing with right now?
Can I forgive? I'm not there. I can't imagine what these people are feeling. There's nobody in the United States who can imagine what they're feeling
So
because
you're
they've
able
never been
to
involved.
forgive, right? You're
Huh?
able, so you are, if merely because of your distance, you're able to forgive, whereas the people that are closer may have a harder time practicing
Oh,
forgiveness.
that's very true. That's very true.
Well, that's why I brought it up, because it seems like you're already in a position to practice this forgiveness. So I'm grateful for that, because I thought it might be really weighing on you in terms of conflict, ambivalent conflict or hatred or
Hatred to me is a waste of time.
all right.
That's exactly how I look at hatred. I
all
don't
right.
want to hate.
Okay.
I've had lots of experiences in my life, and everybody on this program, I'm sure, has had experiences where
Yeah.
you could hate the rest of your life. The
Yeah.
only one that hurts is you.
You know,
Doesn't hurt them,
you
it
know,
hurts you.
and you start seeing that, I think, as we get older. Comments from anyone about the two sections we've done tonight? We went a bit long on it, but I don't know. I just feel like Spirit's taking the lead and we spend time wherever Spirit's leading.
Makes
Can
sense.
God be reached? Hilda, I'm sorry.
No, that makes perfect sense. That's fine. We really don't have to live by the rules as to how much we accomplish at any one particular time.
Yeah.
It's more important that we absorb it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not the quantity, but the quality
Yeah.
that makes a difference. So I agree, Hilda. Thank you. We do have a few minutes, so, and if it's okay with you, we can do our workbook and meditation if we don't do the special theme tonight. The special theme is on page 455 in the workbook. It's what is the last judgment? But it seems to me you're already reading that every day along with the lesson for the day. So would it be okay if we just went to today's lesson?
Yes.
It's lesson 350. I'm sorry, 316 on page 458. And Gina, if you would, could you read the lesson and then we'll do our meditation period, please?
I think Gina left, didn't she?
Oh, she had to leave. I'm not surprised. Okay. Frank, how about you? Would
Okay.
you do that?
Yes. All gifts I give my brothers are my own. As every gift my brothers give is mine, so every gift I give belongs to the world, belongs to me. Each one allows the past mistakes to go and leaves no shaking on the body, but mine, on the body mine my Father loves. His grace is given me in every gift a brother has received throughout all time and past all time as well. My treasure house is Hill. I'm coming to reading it. And angels watch the open doors that not one gift he lost, and only more are added. Let me come to when my treasures are, and enter in where I am truly welcome and at home among the gates that God has given me. Father, I would accept your gifts today. I do not recognize them, yet I trust that you who gave me them will provide the means by which I can behold them, see them, and see them.
There,
Cherish only them as what I want. I'm having trouble reading.
that's all right, Frank. Thank you. All gifts I give my brothers are my own. And this, if you haven't already observed it, is one of these counterpart lessons, because 315, the lesson before, the title was All Gifts My Brothers Give Belong to Me. And tonight, all gifts I give my brothers are my own. So before we do our meditation, I'd like to add this question. Uh, how can you lose? Think about that. If this is true, that all gifts my brothers give belong to me, and all gifts I give my brothers belong to me, what is my loss? I'll ask you on the other side, okay? Put some music on for just a few minutes. All gifts I give my brothers are my own. All gifts my brothers give belong to me. If that's true, how could anybody ever lose?
You
Yes.
can't
Like
lose.
they could only gain, Ron?
Giving and receiving are one.
Yes, you can only gain, I agree.
Okay,
And giving and receiving are one. You
so
can't
if,
lose.
say that one more time, I cut you off there.
You can't lose, you can only win.
Okay. Now, that's the reality. So what world are you guys living in? All right. I'm going to let you go, but let's leave with good old lesson 52. I'll read it. Okay. So I'm going to find it real fast so I don't keep you too long. You've heard it before. It's on page 84. And let's leave that as a takeaway tonight to show you how crazy this world is. Lesson 52, paragraph 1, sentence 2. Reality is never frightening. It is impossible that reality could upset me. Reality brings only perfect peace. Is that what you are currently seeing? Then go to lesson 34.
Lesson 34.
If you're interested, go to lesson 34. And if you're interested in learning about it, it's on page 51 in the workbook. I hope you're fast page turners. If you're interested, I can show you how to see peace instead of this crap that don't make sense. If you're interested, here's how to do it. This is a course on how to see peace in a world of turmoil. If you're interested, are you tired of this?
No.
No, no.
Okay. So you see, the course delivers on its promises. And I don't know about you, but I'm just so grateful to find something in this crazy world that seems to make sense. And if I actually do it, as improbable as it sounds, as counterintuitive as it at first seems, it actually seems to make my life happier. So I hope it's having that effect on you as well. Final comments tonight, everybody good?
Yes, thanks for another insightful
Thank you.
class, Jim.
Yeah, and thank you, Nancy. I'm glad, because seeing you smile makes me smile. And that feels really good, guys, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. All right. I won't keep you. Thank you for being here. Hilda, we're ready to close again, dear.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am
I
the
am the
Light
light
of
of God.
God.
I am the love of God.
I
I
am
the love of God.
God.
I am the power of God.
I am.
I
am
am the
the
power
power
of
of
God.
God.
I am the presence of God.
I
I
am
am the
presence
presence
of
of God.
Therefore,
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 wherever I am,
wherever
where
I
I
am,
am,
God is,
God
God
is.
and all is well.
and all
All
is well.
is
is well.
well.
There is nothing to fear.
There is
There's
nothing
nothing
to
to
fear.
fear.
There is only love.
There is
There is
Only
love.
love.
Namaste.
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 And thank goodness. I thought there was no way out. All right. I hope you have a good rest of your evening. And man, I'll tell you, Hildegard, it's getting aware as we follow your lead on that prayer of protection. My smile gets bigger and bigger every time I do it. Thank
That's
you
right.
for that. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see
Thank
you
you.
guys soon. All right.
Thank you,
Hi,
Jeff.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
We
Have a good
Namaste.
week.
Blessed week.